Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 4 on foreign direct investment and supply chains, global supply chains. So, first of all, I want to say I'm looking forward to the first round of presentations. I've been working with a number of students, and it sounds like we have some good stuff ahead. So let's cut to the chase now. So foreign direct investment is a topic, as well as some related topics, which I've been working on for many, many years, particularly in China and East Asia. And foreign direct investment has, in its modern form, has really been accelerating for the past 50 years, as firms find, as the textbook very well describes, two core reasons to sort of move their production to other locations. One is to find location advantages. They might be cost and they might be distance from their customer. And two is market advantages, to be closer to their customers as markets globalize. So FDI has really increased, and I'm going to stick a few slides in my company email that I present in my other class, which just show the globalization of various products and manufacturers. And I think the Boeing airplane is the one of the most exemplary of this. The amount of very high tech and highly machined advanced manufactured parts that go into a Boeing aircraft or any sort of similar product is sort of mind boggling. And this is sort of the result of FDI and global supply chains over many years. So it's partly about getting cheaper labor, but that's not the whole picture. And I think that's why FDI, despite a lot of what's being said these days, is here to stay. It's a fundamental feature of the modern economy. So related to this is supply outsourcing and production, as the book chapter is called, which generally goes under the idea of global supply chains. And of course, I always challenge anyone to look at what you're wearing or what's on your body and think about where it's made. Probably quite a bit comes from China, which is the root of why we've had so much trade interaction with China and some of the frictions. And it's for electronics, for industrial products, for clothing, and some of the lower end stuff, particularly in textiles, has been moving away from China. As China moves up in terms of their per capita incomes, it's moving to countries like Bangladesh. Simpler manufacturers are moving to Vietnam. This is an area where we expect to see increased investment in supply chain from Africa as well. And another reason for, aside from customers, is there might be certain things, lithium for batteries being a particularly important example, that are simply not available elsewhere. Rare earth elements, which go into a lot of modern electronics. Oil, right, is another one which has a lot of global sourcing. So I think the book does a good job of describing both of these. Some things I wanted to add is, of course, there have been headwinds. I think on both of these fronts recently, COVID uh, put a few things in stark contrast with global supply chain. When the COVID crisis started, there were a lot of issues getting masks and other medical supplies. It turned out the supply chains were very much dependent on China, whose ports had been shut down. And then more recently, there's the unrelated Suez Canal crisis. There's the underlying tensions between the US and China on trade, which is where we get a lot of our supply chain from. And Biden has, sort of following the Trump administration, been pushing a Made in USA agenda. But I think there's some reasons, as I said, why FDI is still here to stay. For one, China still expects to receive record foreign direct investment. So these are investments from non-Chinese companies in China, including US companies, European companies, Japanese companies, because the underlying logic, despite the political statements, is still clear. Another thing I want to talk about is materials. We said, you might not be able to find the materials you're looking for. It might not be simple. These are some of the things which are assumed in some of the theoretical trade models, that you can just shift production, but it's not that easy to build a factory. And one thing which I personally do a lot of research on are economic clusters. So a cluster is where a bunch of competitors in an industry despite the fact that you might think that they want to keep their distance from each other, to keep their secrets, tend to agglomerate in geographical locations. I do a great deal of research and publishing on this, and some famous examples are Wall Street and Hollywood, Silicon Valley in the US. Paul Krugman, who's won a Nobel Prize for this, and one of my professors was his PhD student, wrote about the carpet industry in Dalton, Georgia. So it's not only high tech stuff, but one of the things that goes around clusters, aside from the manufacturing capacity, which can be duplicated, is talent. So, and you see this especially in Boeing, right? We might be able to build the factories necessary to make Boeing aircraft or Micron semiconductors here, but do we have talent, right? Can you get deeply experienced managers and engineers and software engineers and the sort of top level people, finance people, to come to your location to perform at the top level? And this is a much bigger question. So it's relatively easy to find the capital to build a factory. It's a lot harder to find the right talent, and that's something which I focus on. It's something China, for example, as Chinese government is struggling with. They really want to be independent from Micron, from Intel, from Hynix, from these other firms in semiconductors, and they have the money and they have the ability to build some of the plants, but they have a very difficult time finding the requisite talent because, as you'll probably find in your careers, the more talented you are, the better your skill set, the more mobile you are, the more choices you have. So these are some of the main dynamics I think which underlie this. So there's definitely been some headwinds, right? But I think it's going to be quite a long time before the global supply chain and the resulting foreign direct investment is going to dry up. I think we're going to see some transformation. Another thing I should add to this is 3D printing may be one way in which some of this manufacturing can be transferred. But again, there's limitations on this. So I think a number of you are involved in this in your own jobs, or probably will be. And this is a way, again, where global business touches us all. So thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and look forward to your presentations and your current events and your readings.